Fiqh. You start there. It begins in the way, it begins like this. Alhamdulillah for the Lord, I say, you say. Alhamdulillah for the Lord Supreme.
Alhamdulillah for the Lord Supreme.
Who's been so kind to the Muslimin.
Who's been so kind to the Muslimin.
Sending Islam with Muhammad to teach.
Sending Islam with Muhammad to teach.
We study his actions and beautiful speech.
We study his actions and beautiful speech.
Quranic in nature, the model of fiqh.
Quranic in nature, the model of fiqh.
So take from the Prophet whatever's legit.
So take from the Prophet whatever's
Let's
legit.
break that down. Alhamdulillah for the Lord Supreme.
Alhamdulillah for the Lord Supreme.
That is coming from what, first the poem begins with the Basmalah, but that's not part of the poem. Because there's a statement amongst the scholars that any deed that begins without the Basmalah has lost all the barakah that would be in there if they would have said the Basmalah.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now some people say it's a statement of the Prophet. We don't know it as a statement from the Prophet. So we don't claim it to be a statement of the Prophet. But does that mean there's no good in it? No. The meaning of it is in conformity to what we find in actually the Quran, because Allah began his book with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So following the example set by Allah in the Quran, we begin the poem with the Basmalah. Okay? And the Basmalah basically means utilizing the name of Allah, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, who is extremely merciful to the entire creation, specifically merciful to the believers. Okay? And then the poem begins, Alhamdulillah for the Lord Supreme. Okay? So he begins, Alhamdulillah for the Lord Supreme, following the example in the Quran where it begins, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, the Lord of everything, right? But here there's a difference. It says for the Lord Supreme. So it's not just praising Allah, it's thanking Allah. Okay? It's acknowledgement. Dhikr is not just asking for something. Asking for Allahumma Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adhaban nar. The most comprehensive dua ever. Because every dua is saying what you say in that one dua. Oh Allah, give me the good in this world. Whatever you ask for some good in this world, right? And give me the good in the next world. And that's what you want to. And you want to be saved from the fire. So whatever details you throw on it, it's in that dua right there. But that's only one type of dhikr. What are you asking for when you say subhanallah? What are you asking for when you say Allahu Akbar? You're not asking for anything. You're acknowledging. So that's another type of dhikr, where you acknowledge the grandeur of azamatillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he's saying Alhamdulillah for the Lord Supreme. Okay? Acknowledging that the Lord Supreme is Allah, because a lot of people have lords that are not real lords. اتخذوها إلها. They take it as some people worship other people's eyesight, so they show out to those people. And they say that's worse than the person who wants money, who does it for money. They're doing it for fame, okay? And to arrest the people's faces to themselves. So status. Ibn Rajab wrote the book on the disease of status, fame and having status. Some people don't mind if they lose their money as long as they keep their status, right? So, and some people know they don't got the money, but they want the status. You see that from a lot of poor people who we say in what does the doctor say? I forget his name. He says they get what they call acceptable whites in American society. There are people who can be like counterfeit whites, you be accepted as white, and they be put in society, like the Arabs, for example. So then they put them over the darker skinned people, right? In status, but not in actuality. Does that make sense? A better example would be like Wahshi. Wahshi did whatever he could do, radiyallahu anhu, to get in the same status as the other Quraysh, but they still didn't accept him, even after killing Hamza. You guys get my point? He came and sat down in their club, and he said, Wahshi, what you doing? He said, I'm free now. I said, yeah, but you're free don't mean we don't want you to sit around us. He said, what kind of freedom is this? I did all of that, violated my own principles to be one, and you guys still don't accept me? No. And that's a pill that we get to taste here in this country as well, right? Does that make sense? So, Alhamdulillah for the Lord Supreme, who's been so kind to the... How's he been kind to the Muslimin? Right, so Allah says he's kind to the mu'mineen, ra'ufur rahim, right? Allah is kind, ra'uf. He uses that attribute for himself. He's kind to the believers. What is his kindness? What is his rahmah to the believers? Is that he gave them Islam. Sending Islam with Muhammad to teach. Okay? It's very, very important. Because we have to believe, first thing Allah tells us to believe in the Quran. Alif Lam Mim Dal, that's why I recited in the Quran today because it's part of our lesson. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, right? Or يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, right? Those who believe in the ghaib, the very first thing you're told to believe in. The unseen. Right? What are the unseen things?
Allah himself.
There are four unseen things. Allah, no. Listen to what I'm going to say here. This is part of your aqidah. See, Allah and His creation, His created beings, places, things, and events. Those are the four categories of unseen things. Say it to me again. Allah and His created beings, places, things, and events that are unseen. And you need to know those things. Wrote a poem about it. Like to hear it? You will hear it later on. Okay? It's part of your lessons, okay? But understand first that. Anybody find a fifth category? You see, he started with that and then left it alone and then moved to Salah, right? And so that's what we'll do when we cover it. So, alhamdulillah for the Lord Supreme who's been so kind to the Muslimin, sending Islam. Now, that goes back to that one of those things that we believe in is the events and places. One of those unseen places that we believe in is the place that we lived before we came into this existence. You believe in that place? Why? Because Allah told us, and Allah's messenger told us that when Adam was created, he wiped his back right and left, and all his seeds came out, right? And they existed in this world. And then Allah tells us in the Quran that we had consciousness. And Allah comes to us in that world and says, Alastu bi rabbikum? And they said, and we said, Bala. Wa Rabbi, right? We bore witness that Allah was our Lord, taking care of us, providing for us in that world. And then sometimes we have what we call deja vu. We'll see somebody we ain't never seen before. They live in the one part of the world, and we meet them, and it's like, yo, man, I ain't seen you in a million years. He says, I've never met you before. But I love you. And you go, man, we good friends. We down like four flat tires. The Prophet ﷺ said, when you do that, maybe that was he said, the souls are soldiers. They're loyal, he said. Whoever they was cool with in that other world, when they meet them in this world, they cool. They don't drop that bomb. Why? Because it's in our subconscious what happened there. But it's still active. That's why the Quran is called a dhikra, the reminder. So we were sent to this world to be tested by our statement that we made in that other world. Right? And Allah in His mercy didn't leave us hanging like that. لَمْ يَتْرُكْنَا هَمَلًا بَلْ أَرْسَلَ عَلَيْنَا رُسُلًا. He sent us messengers to be an example, to remind us, and gave us books to remind us. And that's why when we see the truth, we believe in it. We recognize it, right? And that's why a kafir is called a kafir, because a kafir is a farmer. Why is he called a farmer? Because he hides the seed. And the kafir is called a kafir because when he hears the truth, he recognizes it, but he conceals it. You get my point? He's concealing what he knows, what he recognizes of al-haq. You guys follow me? So the mercy of Allah upon us sending Islam with Muhammad to teach. So we got the book and we got an example. We study his actions and beautiful speech. That's the definition, ikhtisaran, of a hadith, isn't it? Studying the actions of the Prophet and his speech. The only thing left is his taqreer, but his taqreer would come in his speech or his action. Does that make sense? Taqreer would be he allowed that thing, or that means he didn't say anything, or he saw it or he said yes, which is an action or speech. You guys follow me? Yeah. We study his actions or beautiful speech. That's the beginning part. Can I? No? Hey, ibadah is ibadah. The ways to Allah are many. You know, and the masjid is for all of us. So alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. We got more space. I wanted to write it out for you guys. But We study his actions and beautiful speech. This is the introduction. Taubah has plotted to sketch in our minds. Say it.
Taubah has plotted to sketch in our
Don't mumble. Taubah has plotted to sketch in our minds.
Taubah has plotted to sketch in our minds.
A drawing of fiqh in a graphic design.
A drawing of fiqh in a graphic design.
Imagining deeply that our hearts would delight.
Imagining deeply that our hearts would delight.
And through outlining fiqh that a spark would ignite.
And through outlining fiqh that a spark would ignite.
Let's go back, okay? Taubah has plotted to sketch in our minds. Say it.
Taubah has plotted to sketch in our minds.
What is a plot? When you hear the word plot, what does that indicate?
Plans.
Not just a plan. What's a scheme? It's indicative of there's some type of sinister thing going on there, right?
Makr.
Some makr, some type of evil intention. Some type of evil design. You gotta watch out. I think she has a makr for that camera. So, the reason for this poem was written in prison. Abu Taubah was put in prison and said, you're plotting to be a terrorist, okay? And so Abu Taubah wrote this introduction and sent it to the judge, saying, the only thing Abu Taubah has plotted was to sketch in our minds a drawing of fiqh. Now, plotted here, say he's flipping the words to them. Because for many years, I was looking for it. When I was overseas and I saw how people studied fiqh outside of the United States, I know we never had that. And I said, if I get some time to sit down, I'm going to draw a whole outline of fiqh so that I think people would appreciate that. So when he got locked up, I said, oh, here goes a good opportunity. Hey, got some time. So they said, what were you plotting? Because they came and said, what was your plot? I said, okay, I'll write it out. Give me some paper. And I wrote this out. Take this to the judge. And they took it to the judge. The judge told me he looked at it. He read it. You know, I wrote the whole poem there. He read the whole thing. Of course, we know the end of the story before I wasn't a terrorist. Right? So they let me go. But this is the poem that I wrote while I was there. Okay? So, Taubah has plotted to sketch in our minds. Can we sketch in someone's mind? It's very hard to, right? Because everybody's mind, I'm going to sketch in each one of your minds at the same time. And everybody's mind is different. We always say, when I was a teacher a long time ago, we used to say that, how come computer guys get so much money and the teachers don't? Because the computers is a machine, right? Once you learn how to do it, you do all of the same thing each time you get to one computer. But don't make a difference. The teacher has to teach each individual differently, and every day could be different. And the same things don't always work, right? But that's the way people are. They believe that the things are more important than the people. You're kind of confusing that way. So he says, Taubah has plotted. Now what has happened, he's telling you the name of the author so that you can now consider whether this author has the right to teach you this particular subject. They say a student reading a book not knowing anything about the author is like an orphan. Okay? He knows he has a father, but he knows nothing about his father. So he doesn't know what context to take this book in. Right? This person have any experience? When I read books and they talking about a guy is writing a book about the military, I read to see if this guy's been in the military. Okay? Does he have a clue what he's talking about? Where he gets information from? You get my point? Somebody's going to write a book about medicine. They better know something about medicine. Give me what's your experience here? So I can know in what context to take. Like if it said, Donald Trump has plotted to sketch in your minds, you close the book, throw it, call your dog, hey, eat. You don't want it, okay? Because you don't trust the source, right? Taubah has plotted to sketch in our minds, so he's telling you the intention of the author. A drawing of fiqh, okay? So now he's going to say it's a drawing. That doesn't mean everything in fiqh. It's a general drawing. The book is called Outlining Fiqh. It's an outline. In a graphic design. Now graphic, when we see this word, we normally think viewer discretion is advised, right? Because and he's using these terms because this is what they always are thinking, that the Muslims have some, deviant plan with some graphic, something's going to happen, right? So he's just flipping it. The only thing we're going to get graphic in is this graphic design on fiqh, okay? Why is he doing it? Imagining deeply. He's not going to be arrogant and say, well, I know you're going to like this. But he imagined that you would like this. He thought about it over and over again. think deeply for a long time. I think people would benefit because I wish I would have had it. It's not how I learned it, but I wish I would have learned it this way. It was so easy, okay, in this particular fashion. Imagining deeply that our hearts would delight. And if the heart delights, the whole body delights. Right? It's one, that piece of flesh, if it's solid, if it's wholesome, the whole body is wholesome. If it's corrupt, then the whole body is corrupt. If it's happy, the whole body is happy. If it's sad, the whole body is sad. So? Aywa, alhamdulillah. Now you have to do some work, young lady. Thank you very much. So imagining deeply that our hearts would delight. And through outlining fiqh, and through outlining, playing on the words, and through actual outlining, and through the book outlining fiqh, that a spark would ignite. They was hoping for that, right? Now they're thinking the spark would ignite to blow something up. But the only thing that we're attacking is the heart, okay? But that's the only land we're trying to invade, okay? Is the hearts. And the spark would ignite. What type of spark? Spark ignites action, right? Imagining deeply that our hearts would unite, and through outlining fiqh that a spark would ignite our mindset, our manners, our conduct intact, the laws of behavior, and how we should act. That's what it should spark. First, our mindset, because that's our aqidah. How we view the world, what we're thinking. Our manners, we already talked about our adab, how we go about things, right? Our conduct, again, this is our attitude when we're doing these things. Our tact, this is the tactics. Tact is a small word meaning tactics. The techniques that we use in doing things. Conduct and tact, like making wudu or making tayammum, is a tactic, right? Our conduct and tact, the laws of behavior. This is our books of adab and sharia. And how we should act. Fiqh is divided in 4 major parts. Ibadah is drawn from the fiqh of the hearts. Okay? The first one. Business transactions with all of its deals and family provisions, including legal procedures, offenses of law, then under these titles make everything fall. Put under ibadah, the worshiping laws. Now this is where we're at now. We said fiqh. Fiqh is divided in how many parts?
4 major parts.
4 major parts. Ibadah, right, is drawn from the fiqh of the heart because it's in our heart. Business transactions, just put money here, right? With all of its deals, then family provisions, right? Including the meals. Legal procedures, offenses of law. Then under these titles, make it, this is supposed to be a gavel, okay? And under these 4 titles, make everything fall. Now we're at ibadah. Put under ibadah, what type of laws?
The worshiping laws.
The worshiping laws. Now what is worshiping? It's the actions that stem from the slave to his Lord. What type of actions?
Actions that stem from the slave to his Lord.
Right, so that means we do the action, and we hope by that action that action goes up to Allah, right? Right? It goes up to Allah, لِيُقَرِّبُنَا إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفًا, to get us closer to Allah, right? فَاسْجُدْ وَاقْتَرِبْ, Allah says, make sajda and get close to Allah in this fashion. Allah's Messenger ﷺ said that in the sajda you are the closest to Allah that you could possibly be in this dunya. So literally by an act of ibadah, throw it at me, throw it over here. Thank you. Literally, by doing an act of ibadah, we get closer to Allah, and that's our objective, okay? So the worshiping laws are the actions that stem from us, that begin with us, and we want it to go to Allah. What are there? There are 8 of them. How many are there?
8 of them.
So under ibadah, where we're at today, we have 8 titles. 8 titles that compass certain laws. The first one is aqidah. Say it. Aqidah, tahara, preceding salah, a janazah for all.
A janazah for all.
When the rich pay zakat.
When the rich pay zakat.
Siyam,
Siyam.
i'tikaf.
I'tikaf.
If you're spending the night in a hajj for whoever can pay for the flight. Okay? Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 actions, 8 titles. Now, the purpose of this poem is for us to learn just what is under each title. There is nothing else under the title of ibadah. You memorize these 2 lines, you know everything that's under the topic of ibadah. Fiqh is divided in
4 major parts.
That's all you need to know, right? One of the parts has 8 things under them. I told you from the beginning there's only 38 laws, 38 titles, right? So there's only 30 left to go. Right? All things being even, and we imagine the other 3 have just 10, but it's not like that. It's a little bit uneven. Fiqh is divided in 4 major parts. Ibadah is drawn from the fiqh of the heart. Put under ibadah the worshipping laws in the actions that stem from the slave to his Lord. Aqidah, tahara, preceding salah, a janazas for all when the rich pays zakat. Siyam, i'tikaf, if you're spending the night in a hajj for whoever can pay for the flight. So we're just going to go over these really quick, okay? Just so we can understand what they are. Under Aqidah, we only cover Iman bil Ghaib. Iman, at this stage, all we cover is Iman bil Ghaib. Please say that.
Iman bil Ghaib.
And that is belief in what? So now we break that down, okay? Iman bil Ghaib deals with 4 topics. What are the 4 topics? Come on.
Allah and His created beings.
Allah and His created beings. Why do we say Allah and His created beings? Because Allah is not a created being. So it's belief in Allah because He's not unseen, right? And the created beings that we haven't seen, right? Then what's the next section? Places. Like that place we were in. Do this to remember them. Think of the order of life and death and hereafter. Think of that place we were at before we came to this life. Now, it wasn't Jannah. Before we came into this existence, Adam was in Jannah, but that was after he came into this world. We were in his back, and then when we came out his back, we were someplace. So that place, it doesn't have a name in the Sharia. No name is given, so we don't give a name, but we recognize and we believe in that place. It's so unseen, we don't even have a name for it. Even now, every created being that will be is there. Right? And what's the proof? The Prophet ﷺ told us in Arba'in al-Nawawi, the 40 Hadith al-Nawawi, and وَهُوَ صَادِقُ الْمَصْدُوقُ, and he is the truthful one that has to be believed, that when the woman is in her hits her 4th month, what happens? The angel grabs the soul from that world and brings that soul and places it in her belly. And then writes down there 4 matters, right? Where did that soul come from? It was already created. It's in that world already. Does that make sense? And Allah shows us that we had consciousness there because we were questioned there. And Allah says that in the Quran. When He says, am I not your Lord? And we said yes. So that we couldn't say we didn't know, He sent messengers. So we couldn't say we didn't remember, He sent books. Right? So, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. So, Iman bil Ghaib is first Iman in Allah and His creatures. Then the places, the many different places. The last place you should write is Jannah or Nar, in the order of things, right? Then, after that, you have things. Name a thing that's unseen that we believe in. Now, the things are divided into 2 things, physical and not physical. Things that we believe in that are unseen. Give me a thing that we believe in. Al-Arsh, the throne. That's a good thing. Al-Mizan, the scales. As-Sirat, the bridge. Right? Now give me a non-physical thing. The Qalam is where we should have started. And then the Lawh al-Mahfuz. Right? So now name a non-physical thing that we believe in is from an unseen. Sorry? I can't hear you.
Soul. Your soul.
No. Not that. That's not from the ilm what they're talking about. That's going to be under the created beings. That's under the created beings. Okay? The sword, that's the throne. I mean the horn. That's a created thing though. I said a non-created. There's only 3 things. First one is the qadr. Al-Qadr, Ruh is part of the soul. Whoever said that, it's for created beings. Okay? The Qadr. And then there's two things that come from that Qadr.
غيب قدر.
السحر والعين.
Magic.
Right? Did Allah's Messenger say al-ayn al-haqq? Something we believe in.
Evil eye. طيب.
Was sihr. Talked about all through Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Falaq. Right? So these are the things from the unseen things. I'll give you a list of them. Don't worry about it, but I just want you to think about it. Okay? Go outside and make sure she gets in the car. Okay. Still go outside. So alhamdulillah, now the next place, as we said places, right? So did we mention some of the places? We said the place that we was at before, then did we mention the barzakh? Right? The barzakh? Okay, then we have some other things too. Now what comes, I'm not going to mention because I want you guys to think it's part of your homework. Now the last thing is events, right? Name first the event that we said Allah said we said yes. Right? What else? Give me another event. Unseen. That you never experienced, huh? No, well, yeah, all the events of the stories of the prophets and those past peoples. Those are all events that we believe in, right? Okay, that we never saw. Yes. Okay, what is Qiyamah though? What is that? Because remember, there's three things when it comes to that. There's three events. The first one is as-sa'a, not Qiyamah. The sa'a comes first, and that's the last day in the dunya. Okay? That's the first one. The second one is the Qiyamah, when everybody gets up, resurrection. And the third one is Yawm ad-Din. Because after we have Qiyamah, is it over? No. Yawm ad-Din hasn't started yet. That's when the Prophet Muhammad goes and asks Allah for the hukum to start. And then the separation of people begins. Right? So there's three things, and it's why we write it out so we can see it. Because you've been ordered to believe in this, right? If you don't list it out, how do you know you believe in it? Okay? And not that you don't believe in it, but the reason why we put it in poetry is to help you organize it. And then become fond with it. And hold on to it. And it's there. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. So that's what we're going to deal with when we talk about Iman bil-Ghayb. And because Allah began in the Quran with الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, we start with that here. And because he didn't go further than that, he moved on after that to Salah, we stop there. Okay? And we move on to Salah. But before Salah is a Tahara. Aqidah Tahara preceding Salah. Why Tahara before Salah? Because, no, don't tell me that. Tell me the ruling. Because Tahara is a condition. That's why. You see what I'm saying? It's that what you said is correct, but I want you guys to start talking like lawyers. Okay? Because Tahara is a condition. And the condition for something precedes that something. And Aqidah is the first Tahara. It's Taharatul Qalb wa Ruh. And this Taharatul Badan. Okay? Tahara of the purification of our bodies. And this purification won't happen unless the first one is done first. You get my point? A kafir can wash for 100 years. He's still filthy kafir. Does that make sense? He could just get out of the shower and he still shouldn't touch the mushaf. Does that make sense? So, Aqidah of the mindset in the heart first, then Tahara of the physical, and then we move on to Salah. Tahara takes a noble spot after Aqidah, before Salah. 11 cleansing points in order, all of them begin with water. Okay? The vessels that we use to feed, taking care of private needs, wudu, then wiping it on the shoe, the issue that undo wudu, and we go through all the issues there. We wrote a poem about every issue in the deen. There's a poem for every single subject that outlines it, so that you would know not only what's there, but what's in each one of those subjects. Why? So that you could be a competent adult. So that you would know what's there, so that you can ask a good question, that you know there's an issue. You don't need to know all the issues, but you know there's an issue there. Now you can go say, hey, I have an issue. And when the person is talking, you can follow him now. As opposed to being ignorant and not knowing anything and then criminally negligent about the ignorance. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. So, Aqidah Tahara preceding Salah, a janazah. So Salah is well known, the actions of Salah, what Salah is. Okay? These are physical actions that we do. 5 times a day. Okay? Janazah is under, sometimes in the books of fiqh you won't find janazah. It'll be a subsection of salah. Okay? But in the bigger books of fiqh, you'll find it as its own section. Why? Because it's not just salah. It is a special type of, it includes the burial. You get it? It includes the washing, the salah, the digging of the grave, and the placing in the grave. And even the throwing the 3 handfuls and all those things. So it's more than just salah. And that's why it's jadirun lil fasl min as-salah. It deserves its own section. Everybody follow me? Then we say zakat, okay? We remember zakat is the two forms of zakat, paying the zakat with your gold standard and the silver standard. I suggest most people should follow the silver standard because the gold standard might be outside of your reach. But you should seek to do what you can do. And most people can pay the silver standard. But most Muslims never pay zakat. Incomplete deen. But if we say they're not praying, offering salah, you say, oh, what kind of Muslim is he not offering salah? What kind of Muslim is he not paying zakat? Abu Bakr as-Siddiq went to war, considered them all kafirs. Because they collected zakat and wouldn't give it to the right place. What about us? Well, we don't even pay it. And sadaqah is not zakat. You get my point, guys? So we need to learn these particular acts so we can fulfill our deen. Siyam. And the reason why this is, I consider this is an issue of why people buy cars instead of houses. Okay? People buy cars because they can floss. Right? They can drive up, look, I'm on whatever they call them, you know, Dayton's, right? But they still live in the projects. Which makes no sense. Right? Well, people will do all the acts of ibadah because people can see them doing that, but they won't pay zakat. Because that's a silent thing. And it's also a trust thing. We'll go to somebody we don't know, give them our tax paper, give them all our information from the bank, and they'll do our taxes. But we won't go to the imam or somebody who knows about paying zakat and give that same information. I want them all in my business. You trust this nondescript, normally kafir, to look at your private tax, or what do you call it, business and what is it, bank information, but you won't do that same for the Muslim who's going to pay, to help you figure out how much zakat you have to pay. You see where we have a problem, guys? It's a real big trust issue and understanding on what's a priority for us. Okay? I'll figure it out myself, and most people can't. If you can't write it in Arabic, you know, and describe it, you have to know some algebra too, and determining these things. Siyam is well known. The Siyam is 2 types of Siyam, voluntary. This is not the voluntary Siyam. This is the Siyam that's tied to Ramadan. Okay, the yearly fasting. I'tikaf. Sometimes you won't find i'tikaf separated from Siyam, but it is deserving of its own section. Why? Because i'tikaf is not just in Ramadan. Okay? Most people are wrong. They think i'tikaf is only in Ramadan. This is not correct. It's like if you read, so what happens in Bukhari a lot of times, Bukhari chops hadith up. He'll give you the same hadith 7 times. But you won't know it's the same hadith because he gave you the first section, the middle section, this section over here, but it's part of one long hadith. You get my point? And he only put that part in here, rahimahullah, because that was pertinent for the point he was making here. And then this other part for that point. Well, Muslim was much more organized. And the reason for this is because Muslim was writing his book at home. In his library, they even got him a paid assistant, okay? And gave money. Bukhari was writing his on the road, showing the strength of his mind. He wasn't never settled, okay? So, even though Muslim is more organized, rahimahullah, the mind of Bukhari, he doesn't have no library to pull out and check. He's doing all that off the cuff. But you find the shuyukh, especially Ahlul Hadith, following Muslims' organization because of the easier way to find things like that. So the same hadith that talks about the i'tikaf tells you that the Prophet ﷺ came to do i'tikaf and he found all his wives showed up. And they was all setting up their tents. He says, man, I ain't gonna get no peace up here. He packed his tent up and left, right? They stayed at the cabin. Then a month, some other time later, outside of Ramadan, he came and did his i'tikaf. You know, showing that you can do i'tikaf outside of Ramadan. Does that make sense? Okay, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. So it has its own section because it is, you can make i'tikaf without spending the night. Okay? You can say, I'm going to come to, and some of the ulama said that i'tikaf is one of the ignored acts of ibadah. You can say, you know what, I got a couple of hours. I swear I'm going to go give an hour to Allah to masjid. But the thing about it, you can't be on your phone. You can't be checking nothing because i'tikaf is to dedicate that whole entire time to ibadah. So you come, you should be in the foyer turning off the phone, you know, and put it in your pocket or in your bag and leave it in the car, you know, and then come in here and during that time, you're in ibadah, whether it's reading, whether it's reciting, whether it's, you know, offering salah, whether it's doing something other act of ibadah for that period of time. It could be 30 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. As long as you made the oath to make that i'tikaf, it's counted. And so we can get that, you know, and so that's why we need to learn about it. And then Hajj. Hajj is well known. It's to make that pilgrimage to Mecca. Do you not realize that making Umrah is Hajj? A lot of people belittle. They say, I can't afford to make Hajj. Well, then go make Umrah. Right? Adrik ma la tastati bima tastati. Do what you can do when you can't do something else. Right? What do they call you when you make Umrah? All year round. What do they call you? Ya Haji. They don't say Ya Mu'tamir. They're Ya Haji. Ya Haji. Right? There is no difference. It's called the minor Hajj. It's not the same reward. But it's only shaitan. Like, did you know that praying sitting down is allowed in every salah except the fard salah? That standing is a condition, if you can, in the fard salah. If you sit down and you can stand up in the fard salah, you just invalidated your salah. But let's say I want to pray some sunnah right now. I could sit down and pray. No sin. No. Do I get the same reward of standing? No. So what does shaitan say? I say, you know what, I don't want to stand. He said, I want to sit down. Oh man, if you ain't going to stand up and do the whole thing, don't do it at all. What does he just trick you out of doing? Some acts of ibadah. Right? And a lot of people lose out there because they go home, they're tired, they want to pray, they don't want to say, I'm going to pray a rak'ah or two before I go to bed, but I don't want to stand up. You can sit at the edge of your bed and do it. You don't even have to face the Qibla. Facing the Qibla is fard for the fard salah, not for the non-fard salah. Does that make sense? But then shaitan says, come on, man, you ain't gonna face the Qibla, man. What kind of stuff is that? So then you don't do it. You guys follow me? Where fiqh becomes very important. Now, and the Allah's Messenger said about this praying at home, and this is why I mentioned this, at nighttime. What is the consequence of not praying at nighttime, of sleeping the whole night? Like after Isha, you don't pray nothing before you go to bed. And you wake up for Fajr. We think we're good. We say, oh man, I woke up before Fajr, you know, I'm going to get ready. What did Allah's Messenger say happens to the person who sleeps that whole night without getting up and offering at least 2 rak'ah? Or 1 rak'ah. It's a disgusting thing. Think about that. Again, Allah knows He urinates in our ears. Just think about that. That's not as bad as a dog urinating in your ear while you're sleeping. And everybody, just to put it into some context, we would not sit for that. If there was a dog in the room, we all sensitive about dogs anyway, right? You know, if there was a dog in your room while you're sleeping, you'd be like waking up all night, where's that dog, right? But that's shaitan. He urinates in the ear of the person who sleeps from Isha to Fajr and doesn't offer any raka'ah. And so the Allah's Messenger, you hear the Sahaba saying that, my friend told me, this is Abu Hurairah, said to pray the 2 before I go to bed. And Abu Bakr used to pray the 2 before he went to bed. Umar would go to sleep and wake up. So there's 2 techniques. So even if you go home, you can pray the 2. Did they say they were standing the whole time? Did I say you could sit? You know? It's different what you can do, but we don't do it because we think we put this higher criteria that we're too lazy to make, but the thing that we can do, we leave off. So we need to, you don't get the same barakah, but you get some barakah. Rather get a little bit than none. Isn't that correct? Yeah. Rather sit at the edge of the bed and pray, and then guess what happens? The barakah of salah forces you to stand up. Sometimes. Okay? Yeah. So, I want us to get this through. What time is it? Okay, so we're going to stop here, okay? Let's go back from the beginning, run it through one more time. Inshallah ta'ala. On our next class, I'll give you guys the handout for this particular poem. We should knock this out. We got a few things to do. Let's go from the beginning. Alhamdulillah for the Lord Supreme.
Alhamdulillah for the Lord Supreme.
Who's been so kind to the Muslimin.
Who's been so kind to the Muslimin.
Sending Islam with the Prophet to teach. Sending Islam with Muhammad to teach.
Sending Islam with Muhammad to teach.
We study his actions and beautiful speech.
We study his actions and beautiful speech.
Quranic in nature, the model of fiqh.
Quranic in nature, the model of fiqh.
So take from the Prophet whatever's legit.
So take from the Prophet whatever is legit.
We didn't cover that line. Take from the Prophet whatever's legit. Whatever is legitimately from the Prophet. Not like some things are legit and some things aren't. But whatever we can say comes directly from the Prophet, then we take that. Whatever's legit. Taubah has plotted to sketch in our minds
Taubah has plotted to sketch in our minds
a drawing of fiqh in a graphic design. Imagining deeply our hearts with delight.
Imagining deeply our hearts with delight.
And through outlining fiqh that a spark would ignite.
And through outlining fiqh that a spark would ignite.
Our mindset, our manners, our conduct intact.
Our mindset, our manners, our conduct intact.
The laws of behavior and how we should act.
The laws of behavior and how we should act.
Fiqh is divided in 4 major parts.
Fiqh is divided in 4 major parts.
Ibadah is drawn from the fiqh of the hearts.
Ibadah is drawn from the fiqh of the hearts.
Business transactions with all of its deals.
Business transactions and all of its deals.
Then family provisions, including the meals.
And family provisions, including the meals.
Legal procedures, offenses of law.
Legal procedures, offenses of law.
Then under these titles make everything fall.
Then under these titles make everything fall.
Put under ibadah the worshiping laws.
Put under ibadah the worshiping law.
And the actions that stem from the slave to his Lord.
The actions that stem from the slave to his Lord.
Aqidah tahara preceding salah.
Aqidah tahara preceding salah.
A janazahs for all when the rich pays zakat.
And janazah for all when the rich pays zakat.
Siyam itikaf if you're spending the night.
Siyam itikaf if you're spending the night.
And a hajj for whoever can pay for the flight.
And a hajj for whoever can pay for the flight.
Now I see some people laughing. It should make you, supposed to make you, laugh, have fun with it, okay? Because we studying, learning. When it's fun, people can remember it better, okay? Remember, I'm at war with Dr. Seuss and all those guys because they're corrupt. They're Jalim, all these people because they're taking and guiding us in a different direction. And we want to overcome that nonsense that we have in our head with something that is beneficial. Imagine if we had our children memorize this as children. It'd be second nature, right? Okay, and so that's a form of defense, right? Whereas hickory dickory dock, what benefit did we get out of that? Whenever did that come up to something, okay, I'm glad I knew that. Right, now, traumatize us for clocks, right? Okay, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. I hope you guys enjoy your class. I hope everybody gets home safe. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. I missed you guys.